This couple decided to leave their daughter because they considered her unattractive. However, 20 years later, an unanticipated visit left them completely stunned and bewildered. Paul and Emma Morris were preparing to enjoy their lunch when a loud knock on their door interrupted them. They shared an uneasy look, uncertain about who might be at the door, since they weren't expecting anyone that day. Emma speculated whether it could be a delivery person or someone who had mistaken their house for another. The middle-aged woman quickly rushed to answer it. Once there, she spoke softly to the person on the other side, asking them to identify themselves. However, no response came through. Puzzled, Emma peeked through the peephole, only to see a slender lady with ginger hair standing outside. Emma hesitated for a moment before cautiously opening the door to get a better look. She was a bit startled to realize that the woman seemed strangely familiar. "Good day, ma'am," the woman said in a firm voice, making it clear that her visit was strictly business. Emma returned the greeting with a shy, genuine smile, unaware that, following this introduction, things would soon spiral out of control for her family. Emma saw the lady lose her composure for a split second, as if wanting to say something before hesitating. But as quickly as she made that minor slip, she regained her poise, hiding her emotions behind a calm, collected expression. Emma's curiosity piqued. The older woman knew deep within her that this was not a chance meeting. The young lady had not knocked on the wrong door and was no ordinary stranger. She had a clue who the young girl was, yet hesitated to bring herself to that conclusion. Fed up with the suspense, Emma inquired about the lady's presence at her house. However, instead of responding to the question, the young lady dropped a bombshell. "My name is Grace. I'm your biological daughter." The words threw Emma off balance, hitting her like a punch in the gut. Although she had realized who she was long before the lady spoke up, her heart still sank at an alarming speed as she understood the gravity of the devastating situation. The lady before her was the daughter she had abandoned about 20 years ago, a child she and her husband gave up due to her perceived imperfections. Now, she stood at their door, radiating determination with a purpose that remained unclear. Emma was stunned and bewildered by her unexpected presence, dreading what might follow. She had no idea that this meeting would turn into a transformative moment for her and her husband, unraveling within minutes. Emma and Paul Morris had always been seen as the perfect couple, a true match made in heaven. Each came from influential backgrounds, with Emma's family owning an upcoming fashion line and Paul's family heading a chain of art galleries in Sydney, Australia. They met in college, and soon a beautiful relationship bloomed. At the time, the duo were the envy of many couples. They were attractive, classy, and passionate about art and beauty. After college, their youthful romance led to a fairy tale wedding of the century. Many of their friends and admirers imagined the couple building a lovely family, with children who would inherit their charisma and striking looks. They envisioned their children as a flawless combination of the parents' most attractive traits, possibly becoming the embodiment of their thriving beauty brand. When Emma became pregnant a few months after their wedding, everyone, especially Paul, was overjoyed. With each passing day, they imagined the miniature version of themselves finally completing their picture-perfect family. Along the way, they discovered that their baby would be female, which was joyous news that the couple eventually celebrated with family and friends at the gender reveal. As Emma and Paul waited for their baby's arrival, they busied themselves preparing the nursery, debating over a list of adorable names, and even creating a savings account for their future bundle of joy. The excited couple became so engrossed in their anticipation for the newborn that they never left room for disappointment. This factor left them unprepared for the shock they were going to receive at their child's birth. When their daughter was born, their dreams shattered instantly. Sorry for the interruption. Before we continue with the story, I kindly ask you to like the video and subscribe to this channel. It is very important for us. Thank you very much. She had ginger hair, large ocean blue eyes, and pale skin. Additionally, her neck seemed stiff, appearing stuck in a fixed position to the left. To sum it up, her face was squished together with wrinkles all over, giving her the appearance of an old person. Emma and Paul were devastated. Their daughter's appearance was nothing like what they had envisioned. Throughout this time, Emma's doctor reassured them that newborns often look less appealing right after birth. He encouraged them to remain patient, assuring them that her true features would emerge within a few days. The couple clung to the doctor's words, finding comfort in the hope that their baby's appearance would improve soon. However, despite their resolve, Emma and her husband couldn't shake off some factors regarding their daughter's physical features. The apparent dissimilarities they noticed in the child threw the couple off. While Emma and Paul had tan skin, their daughter had a pale complexion. Furthermore, her unexpected hair color contrasted heavily with Emma's dark and Paul's brown hair, raising more eyebrows. The only correct feature was her blue eyes, which matched perfectly with Paul's. The day they had eagerly awaited for months unexpectedly turned into one filled with confusion and deep disappointment. Emma and Paul felt so embarrassed by their daughter that they declined their parents' request for a video call after her birth. Paul left afterward for his business meetings, refusing to cast another glance at their newborn. As for Emma, the young mother struggled to hold the baby in her arms, as she always felt repulsed whenever she saw their daughter's face. Due to their immense pride and ego, they refused to spread news of the baby's birth, afraid that their friends would visit, see their child, and mock them. As time passed, the child showed no noticeable changes, contradicting the doctor's encouraging words. To their dismay, their daughter was still deemed ugly, and this bothered Paul and Emma immensely. Then, a week later, the family changed location to avoid unwanted visitors desperate for a medical solution. The couple visited a specialist, hoping for good news. During one of these sessions, they received interesting news. Their daughter's face could potentially be fixed through corrective surgery. However, it could only be permissible when she reached a certain age. Although the news offered a glimmer of hope for the concerned parents, it did not help calm the raging storm within Emma and Paul. The thought of taking their ugly daughter out in public made them sick to their stomachs. When they failed to find any possible immediate solution to their little venture, they resigned to one drastic measure, confining the baby girl in their house until a new development sprung up. Paul and Emma pushed through with their pain. Access to their daughter was limited, and whenever friends asked for her, the couple would explain that they had a stillbirth. 4 months later, Emma and Paul discovered what they believed to be a solution when Emma became pregnant again. This new development gave them an opportunity to leave behind their current dilemma, prompting them to make one final, life-altering decision: placing their daughter in a foster care home. Throughout this time, the couple never bothered to name their daughter, perhaps because they saw the act of naming as a form of recognition, something they were never willing to offer. After abandoning her, Paul and Emma never thought that they would cross paths with her again. But they learned 20 years later that fate had other plans in store for them, as their daughter, now known as Grace, surprisingly showed up at their doorstep. Emma and Paul stared at the young lady, mesmerized by her presence and noticing something different about her look. While her ginger locks and blue eyes remained, the wrinkles, large eyes, and wrinkled neck she was born with were no longer prominent. Instead, she had beautiful, glistening skin, almond-shaped eyes, and good posture. Emma and Paul struggled to admit it, But Grace was beautiful. They knew she must have had corrective surgery, but were curious to know how. Grace, sensing their curiosity through the incredulous expression on their faces, offered them the explanation they sought. "If you're wondering, I had corrective surgery," she said, her tone laced with both bitterness and a sense of victory, as though she was forcing them to confront the truth. With those words, Grace began to reflect on her past, revisiting moments she had tried to forget. She shared the painful story of her childhood, recounting the hardships she endured while growing up in foster care. For as long as she could remember, Grace was moved from one home to another. She was an unproblematic child, but complaints about her appearance from other children resulted in her continuous transfers. As she grew up, she watched as kids her age were adopted into good homes with loving families, leaving her feeling unwanted. As time passed, she grew to resent the foster system and her parents, who put her there. All Grace ever longed for was a normal childhood with friends and a stable family. But as she grew older, she realized such a dream was too much for a foster kid to ask for. At age 14, she knew her chances of ever getting adopted were non-existent. And so, she arrived at a resolution in her mind. Instead of waiting for someone to welcome her into a family, she would make one for herself. Her determination soared to staggering heights. Over time, she focused on her studies in the public school she was enrolled in and worked a part-time job at a bookstore to support herself. However, there was only so much the young girl could do alone. Her ugly face restricted her from taking on specific jobs, and her school didn't offer her many favors. These downturns left her distraught and on the verge of giving up. But just before calling it quits, a window of opportunity presented itself for the young lady. On her 17th birthday, the bookstore owner she worked for gifted her a phone. With this phone, Grace utilized various social media applications to build a name for herself. Like her parents, the young lady was an art enthusiast with a passion for modeling. Ironically, for someone with a perceived unappealing face, she posted fashion reviews and modeling content for months, including videos of herself striking poses. While she did this, she hid behind a mask, unwilling to scare her followers away. From her small room in the foster home, Grace continued to nurture her online persona, attracting fans worldwide who were intrigued by her identity. Eventually, she experienced a significant breakthrough. Just 2 months before her 18th birthday, a modeling agency reached out to her through her social media account. They signed her, and her life took a transformative turn from then on. For the next year, she continued to model with her mask, as it helped with viewer retention. However, while the world grew accustomed to seeing her hidden face, something bizarre was brewing underneath. Grace's agents unexpectedly sponsored her medical procedure to fix her face. For 1 year, the lady went off the fashion radar as she underwent a series of extensive corrective surgeries on her face and neck. It was after she welcomed her new face that she took the bold step of searching for Emma and Paul. The search was a challenging feat, though. Grace had to enlist the help of a private investigator, who traced her roots to the Morrises' doorstep. Grace concluded her story by emphasizing her motive for the visit, which she revealed was to let Paul and Emma know of her success without them. Despite not being raised in a wealthy household or experiencing a typical childhood, she appreciated the valuable lessons life had taught her. As she finished speaking and prepared to leave, Grace began to walk away, but Emma quickly intervened, halting her. Emma and Paul begged her for forgiveness. The beauty they had desperately wanted to preserve in the family had waned with time. This fact taught them a valuable lesson. Such a thing was of no importance in the family. Unfortunately, they realized their mistake a little too late and had caused their daughter irreparable pain. seeing that the air was thick with sadness and regret. Something different stirred within Grace. She felt a pang of relief knowing that her parents, despite having a comfortable life and a stash of material possessions, still felt miserable about their decisions to give her up. In response to their remorseful apology, Grace did something unexpected. She told Paul and Emma that she forgave them. She confessed that although it was not part of the plan, she felt it was necessary to do so. Instantly, the elderly couple was hit by a wave of relief, feeling a mighty burden alleviated from their shoulders. Paul asked if she was willing to join the family, and she gave a shocking reply. Grace refused, explaining that she still wanted to continue down the path she had created for herself. Irrespective of her forgiving them, she still needed time for acceptance and sincere adjustments. That said, the young lady wasn't ready or interested in settling down with them. However, she still promised she would be in touch. Afterwards, Grace left, feeling like a new being. She had faced a troubled past but managed to overcome it through unwavering determination and resilience. In her modeling career, Grace discovered the sense of fulfillment and peace she had always longed for. She made a promise to herself never to let societal or personal expectations dictate her life again. Did you enjoy this story? How about you? Would you have acted like Grace by refusing reunion with your old parents? Let us know in the comments below. If you like the story, subscribe to this channel and leave a like. Grace overcame hardship with strength, inheriting only her parents' love for art. Thank you so much for listening. See you in the next video. Have a great day.